Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. This is DXB Podcast number 13 from the DirectXbox.com forums. I'm the host, Chanogram, Channing, Chano. You can call me whatever you like, as always. And I'm joined by three other gents from the website. I'll let them introduce themselves.
Hey, it's MWJW, real name Michael.
Average gamer guy, real name Average.
And Landshark, I'm Scott.
I think Average is going to legally change his name to Average before I find out what his foreign name is. I think you should do that, Average. I wonder if they'd let you change it to that if you went to the DMV or wherever you have to go to do it.
They let Chad Johnson change it to Ocho Cinco. I can do whatever I want to.
Can you have numericals in your name?
You know what? That would be interesting to see.
Actually, I don't think they allow numbers.
Oh, well,
that is your
these.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
After MW broke his keyboard and the E letter doesn't work, I don't know if you saw him typing there with the threes. It's like, I wonder if that's how Average came up with his name. It's just one day he's like, oh, damn E button doesn't work.
Time to type threes. Yeah, I got a new keyboard, so it's all good.
All right. So this week's podcast obviously is going to be a lot about Destiny and a little bit about the news and other stuff happening this last week. If you don't care about Destiny, this is probably not the best podcast for you to listen to. But if you like it or you're curious about it and want to hear our thoughts on it, this is the place to be. So before we get into that, we're going to go into what we're playing and some of the new games and some news. And then we'll hit the Destiny pretty hard. So, yeah, with what I've been playing, Destiny and Warframe on the PS4. That's it. Still enjoying Warframe. I think it's actually a very good game that tends to get a little overlooked because it's a free-to-play and there's a weird little stigma on free-to-plays a lot of times. So, I know, like Carnal, for instance, before he sold his PS4, didn't even check it out. And after him watching me play last night, he flat out said he wishes he would have at least tried it. He didn't even think about it. So I hope it comes to Xbox One at some point. I don't know if I'll play it on the Xbox One simply because I don't know if I can transfer my stuff, and I already put some money into it. So, but if they let me transfer it, I'll more than likely bring it over. So we'll see how that goes.
We'll have friends to play with. Makes everything better.
Yeah, we'll see. It all depends on how far and how much time I've invested in the PS4 version. So it all depends. Yeah, let's see who's next.
Yep, me.
You go ahead.
Destiny. And editing Destiny videos. That's it.
Alright.
I played Destiny. I've been playing Rise, Chanogram, F1 2013, played Wolf Among Us, Battlefield 4, and I think that's it.
All right, more than the rest of us.
By a long shot.
I guess I'll go next. I've done some Destiny, of course. I got a couple hours into that. That's about it on the Xbox. I've also been playing on the PC. I picked up Wargame Red Dragon. It's quite a lot of fun. And last night I actually played 3 hours with my brother-in-law of a standalone mod called No More Room in Hell. It's a Half-Life 2 mod. It is quite a bit of fun. That's about it, though.
Is that an old mod or a new mod? I don't think I've heard of that one.
It's an old mod, but it got on Steam maybe within the last 5-6 months or so, I guess.
Okay. Cool.
All right. Yep. So, again, before we hit the Destiny stuff, let's go over some of the new stuff, some of the new games, a bit of the news. So there are a few games coming out this week, not so much for the Xbox One, but some other systems are getting some games. Last of Us Remastered is probably the biggest one this week, coming out in the PS4, of course. I'll be picking that one up, and I'm going to go ahead and guess you guys aren't, since you don't own PS4s. So I will let you know what I think of it. And I've never played I didn't play the original PS3 version, so it'll be a whole new game experience for me. Obviously, it's supposed to be pretty good, so we'll see how it goes.
It's fun. I think you'll enjoy it a lot more than some of the other games that you've been playing.
Well, I hope so, because I can't enjoy it a whole lot less than I'm enjoying Killzone and Infamous. So I can't be a whole lot worse than that.
The storylines are really, really good. It's just
some of the gameplay.
That's the
Yeah.
end of it. You're done right there. The story's good.
But go into it with an open mind because you might actually enjoy it.
Yep. I've enjoyed Naughty Dog games in the past. I don't love them all, but I've always enjoyed them. You know, Uncharted 1,
Yeah.
2, and 3 were all fun games for the most part. I would say that there is a strong one and a weakest one and an okay one, but they were all better than any Killzone game. So.
Yeah.
But so another game coming out this week, Sacred 3, I believe, officially launches on the last gen consoles and PC this week.
It sucks because it's a fun game.
Yep,
It was, from what I've seen for this game, it's lost its spark.
Yep.
It's done.
Yep. Sacred 2 was okay. I remember I played through that with Bio. Bio and I love those games. If you had never played with us, Bio1331, I believe his gamer tag is. It's my real life friend, and we love those games. Baldur's Gate, Dark Alliance, those kind of top down
Yep.
sort of
I
shooters.
wish I'd known you back then. I would have played the crap out of that game with you.
Yeah,
Sacred. And
So we didn't love Sacred 2. We played a little bit, but then we ended up buying Diablo and never looked back. So Sacred 2 was a good filler until Diablo 3 came out. We bought Sacred 2 a lot later. Obviously, we didn't buy it right when it came out. So
Okay.
Sacred 3, like you said, looks okay. If you like those kind of games, you'll probably like this one. But unfortunately, it's only last gen and PC. So I've made kind of a, I don't think it's a very conscious decision, more of a subconscious decision. I just can't bring myself to play on 360 anymore. It is what it is. So.
Yeah.
And then Pure Pool comes out on PS4 and PC, and I thought it was coming out on Xbox One at some point and Xbox 360, but I could be wrong, or maybe it's already out on 360. I don't even know. A pool game. Not my cup of tea. I don't know if you guys play those, but I don't know much about it, so that's that.
Now you go to a pool hall. There's no reason to do something like that. Yeah.
So that's pretty much it. Although it's better than last week. I think like nothing came out last week, so only a few more weeks of this quiet, and then it goes crazy with releases. So enjoy the quiet, I guess. Let your wallet
Quiet before the storm.
and let your wallet enjoy its reprieve. So, Games with Gold was announced today for August. A couple good games, actually quite a few good games. There's only one that I haven't played. So, for the 360, you're looking at Motocross Madness for the first half of the month, and Dishonored for the second half of the month. Dishonored I played about half of, and I thought it was actually really good before I got sidetracked with other stuff. Motocross Madness I never played. You guys have any insight in that game or either of those?
Dishonored played on the PC. Maybe I got a quarter of the way through it before, I got sidetracked. And Motocross is Motocross. There's no real madness to it.
Well, I saw like a screenshot of it, or maybe it was just a box art, but it looked a little cartoony. Is that actually the case? I guess I've never.
Yeah, it's definitely not a
Not realistic, or not. Realistic.
not a sim thing. Yeah.
Anyone else thoughts on those two games?
No, I've not played any of them.
Oh, well,
Neither
there you
have
go. Good for you guys. You get to experience them for relatively free. Games with Gold for Xbox One has 2 games this month, and they'll both be available the whole month. And those are Strike Suit Zero, the Director's Cut, and Crimson Dragon. I own both of them. I've barely played them, which really makes me wish maybe I would have waited a little bit longer, but that's okay. Strike Suit Zero is actually a pretty game for what it is. It's fun if you like the sort of flying, shooting kind of games. I enjoyed it, but again, it was one of those games that kind of came out in the middle of some other stuff, and I think it came out not too long before Titanfall, if I remember correctly. Although I could be wrong on that.
It was a week before Titanfall,
Yeah, it sounds right.
approximately. Yeah,
Crimson Dragon.
And also
Was it?
around Child of Light.
Yep. Yep.
right.
I think Shark, you bought Strike Suit Zero, didn't you?
Yeah, I actually popped because I saw it was coming up for free, so I played it a little bit tonight and reminded myself how bad I am at it.
Yeah, it's that's part of my problem is I'm not very good at it, so it's hard to enjoy a game when you're just not good at that kind of game. But it is a neat game. It's just not a.
Yeah,
It's not gonna blow you away, but for free, it's worth it.
pretty difficult though. I find it pretty challenging. So
Crimson Dragon, I've only played the first few levels. I picked it up when it was on sale for like half off, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. Seems to be a fun game once you kind of get the controls down. It's not Panzer Dragoon. I know it's made by the same creator. It's kind of a spiritual successor to Panzer Dragoon. It's not Panzer Dragoon, but it's a good sort of follow-up, I guess, to Panzer Dragoon. So if you like that style of game, you might want to give that a shot. If you've never played Panzer Dragoon of any kind on any system, then Crimson Dragon will be a new experience for you, and you'll love it or hate it. There's not a whole lot of in between with that style of game. It's an on-rails shooter of sorts. So, but give it a shot. It's free. There's no reason not to try it because it's free. So, unless any of you guys have anything to add about Crimson Dragon or any of those games, I guess that's it for that one.
I'm glad this month there are 2 brand new games that instead of the Max Again and another game that I had, so it'll give me something to do until real Titanfall. That's nice.
Yeah. All right. Then let's see. Should we do Destiny or news? Let's just blast through the news quick, and then we can focus on Destiny and fill in the rest of the podcast with that. So, not too much news. A couple of these are pretty quick. First off, we got some delays. I think they happened shortly after our last podcast was recorded. First off, Battlefield Hardline is delayed until sometime next year. Did they say early next year? Is that what they said? Anyone remember what their wording was?
They said
Early, okay.
They said January to March, so it's still in the same quarter for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So first quarter next year, probably a good thing, if for no other reason, to get the hell out of the end of this year.
October.
Yeah, there's enough games coming out. So, and let's be honest, the game wasn't really well received in the beta. I know it's a beta, but the more time they can spend polishing it and tweaking things and adding, slightly different modes, maybe whatever they can do, probably the better for the game in the end. So I'm not sure how.
Its sales will increase just for the fact that it is not surrounded by 30 different games. Whether they're not in the same genre or not, it doesn't matter at this point.
Yeah, it's still got some competition though at the beginning of the year with The Witcher 3 and Dying Light, and then there's still games coming out early next year that are still going to compete with it, but not nearly as many. So.
Yeah, but it'll be the only shooter, which is important because it was going to launch a week before Call of Duty again, so they really need to stop doing that.
They do.
The one, I shouldn't say a problem, but they're taking a risk. Yes, launching a week before Call of Duty is risky, but if you want your shooter fix and you're not sure about Call of Duty, you might have given Battlefield a shot.
No, you wouldn't.
There's people I know who don't like Call of Duty. Now, the problem is that they delayed it, and a lot of people only buy one or the other because, for whatever reason, you either like Battlefield. Most people either like Battlefield or they like Call of Duty every year. Not a lot of people truly enjoy both every year. I can't talk tonight.
Right.
Now, because they moved it to early next year, their worst case scenario is that Master Chief Collection is amazing and has legs, and Call of Duty revamps itself like we're all hoping it does and kicks some serious ass. And if I'm busy with those 2 games, plus Dragon Age, plus all these other games that come out, there's not a chance in hell I'm buying Hardline in February. Plus with Witcher 3 and those games coming out. So it could backfire on them. They could sell a lot more copies, or if some of these games get really well received and well reviewed, I think it could backfire and blow up in their face, and only the hardcore BF people are going to buy it at that point. But
I mean, you could use that argument, or you could use the argument that you have Evolve coming out in October and you have Far Cry coming out in November, along with Call of Duty, and there's just too many shooters in a 3-month span. So you put it to February, where there are no shooters, and if you've been playing Evolve or Halo or Far Cry all of the winter, when February comes around, here's a brand new shooter for you to buy, regardless of if you already have those other ones, because you're tired of them.
Yeah.
So it could work the opposite way as well.
Who has enough time to be tired of 4 great shooters? Or what I'm hoping are
I
going to be 4 great shooters. plus,
I do.
Plus Sunset Overdrive. Plus a few
I
other
do.
games. Dragon Age comes out in November. I mean, we'll still be playing that come, December, January. There's so many games coming out this year. It's just ridiculous. Just thinking about it makes me wish I didn't have a job but had a lot of money.
I'm not touching Call of Duty. So, I mean, my time will be split between Evolve and Far Cry and some Halo. So, I'll be more than happy for Battlefield to come out in February.
I'll stream it for you.
I think one of the other games they pushed, one of the other Battlefield games they pushed was, I think the 2 bad companies. Both of them were not going to be able to directly compete with Call of Duty, and they had those in around the March launch time, and they did much better because of that.
I don't remember. I enjoyed Bad Company too, though. I will say that. So.
Oh yes, yes.
All right. So the other game that was delayed, I don't think I mentioned it yet, was Dragon Age, and that was pushed back a couple months to November. Another game that was in October. That was an October 7th game, right? Or was that the 20-something in that one originally?
The Dragon Age was the 21st.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was coming out the same day as a couple other games as well. I think there's at least 2 games that are big coming out every day, or every Tuesday, that entire month. So, Dragon Age was back to, is it end of November? I feel like
it's November 18th.
Middle of
same day as Far Cry now.
Oh, perfect. So that makes sense. At least they're different genres. So,
yep.
We have 2 more games.
But again, with pushing Dragon Age back, you get it away from Middle Earth, you get it away from Lords of the Fallen, which is now coming out in October. You get it away from some of the other games that are kind of in that genre, so you give it its own shine in November.
I'm still really surprised that some of these games, they didn't make some... I guess I'm glad they didn't make any cuts or sacrifices, but do something. Maybe hire a whole bunch of people extra to get it out a month early and get it out in September. I know it would be competing against Destiny, but if it's not a shooter, it could probably still do okay even with Destiny being out. So, but it is what it is, and maybe they just couldn't. But I was hoping one of those big games would actually come forward instead of falling backward. So, yeah, those are the delays. Hopefully, I wouldn't mind if 1 or 2 more were delayed, anywhere from a couple months to 4 or 5 months to get them out of there. So
no, because then then you run the risk of stacking them up in February or March, and you already have. Well, I'm just saying, like, because they're not going to release them in the summer. It's just not going to happen. Yeah. Statistically, there are too many people outside to sell games in the summertime. It doesn't make sense.
Some of the summer games this year sold pretty well.
Yeah, I think that used to be true. Like,
I'm not saying that they
that's
won't
not
sell.
True. Go outside and watch. You see old people walking. You don't see a lot of kids anymore.
Right. But most of the games that we're talking about are not geared at quote-unquote kids. Let's be realistic. In the summertime, I'm at work or I'm with my family most of the time. So even if I wanted to play those games, guess when I have to play them? In the wintertime, when I'm going to be in the house more. It's just a fact of life. And as a business looks at it, we're not. I mean, we're going to get 1 or 2 big releases a summer, but they're not going to stack them. It'll always be in the winter because the Christmas money is always the best money for business. It just always has been.
All right.
Fair enough.
Let's see. All right. So we're going to the next piece. Halo Master Chief cinematic trailer and Nightfall trailer. If you haven't seen them, go watch them. It'll up your hype a little bit. The Master Chief cinematic trailer was sort of a trailer put together of not all of them, but some of the redone from scratch, I guess, cutscenes by, I think the company is Blur. I hope I got that right. It's a third-party company that does CGI, and they did a masterful job by the looks of it. Like the CGI is really, really good. So I'm excited to see some of that put together. And the Nightfall trailer is the real live-action one by Ridley Scott. That's a digital feature put into a few different parts. It's not the TV series that was Steven Spielberg's production thing. This is the Ridley Scott one. That's coming with Master Chief Collection. So you get to see some of the characters. It looks like it has, if nothing else, a fairly high production value to it. So, did you guys watch them?
Yes.
Yep. I did not.
Well, let's check them out. I know at least one of them is on the Xbox One dashboard somewhere. I can't remember where I saw it.
I think it was under the Comic-Con stuff.
Yeah, that's right. They both are. Now that I think about that, because
Yeah.
Bio and I watched them when he was over here on Friday. So, yep. Go to Games Store and then the Comic-Con section, and there should be in there. So, and it looks pretty good on your Xbox. They stream videos really, really well. So, Titanfall update. They just announced some details. I believe it was today. MW read more about it. He's the one who posted on the forum, so I'll let him talk about that.
Alright, so they posted this up probably last week, but I was mid-Destiny, so I didn't really, didn't post it up until today. But basically, Titanfall is going to be getting another expansion, Frontier's Edge, come out July 31st. Along with that will be a much larger patch around it. Basically, they're adding in-game currency, where you can earn currency per match to earn yourself the ability to unlock burn card packs. Now, these packs will never, like Dave said, never have a credit card attached to them. You're never going to pay real money for this. A lot of people were like, oh, they're bringing microtransactions, and they said they wouldn't. No. This is basically what they're calling a black market. You complete challenges, matches, and you will earn yourself in-game currency to buy these packs, emblems, all kinds of things to use in the game. So it just adds another way of earning things in the game rather than just doing the challenges for the burn cards.
Yep. And it sounds like, from the wording they had, I did read it, it sounds like the burn card packs are going to be split into types, so that if you want a certain type of card, I think maybe there'll be different prices. Maybe the Titan ones will be a little more expensive or whatever happens, but it sounds like they'll be split into types to a certain degree, so that if you want to focus on trying to get burn cards for a certain subcategory, maybe, you can specifically buy that pack, and they'll be random within that pack across those. So
Right.
instead of just going straight up random like it kind of is now, depending on what you get sometimes. So
Yeah. Now, you always earn, or well, the way the system used to work is, yeah, you had a couple random cards that you would get, but if you use a certain type of weapon, you complete a challenge in that, you'll get burn cards for that weapon. And a lot of the stuff was random, but there were a lot of challenge cards that you got, so it was just harder to notice, but you got them.
alright. Anything else for that update?
Oh, just some performance issues on the PC. They said the patch also included daily challenges, so we'll have challenges every day that are different. More of a bigger notification when a friendly pilot is riding your Titan, and some regular improvements that you may or may not notice
Yeah.
for all systems.
Any thoughts on the black market average Landshark?
That's fine.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool idea. I like it.
So, I know they said they never want to put it in there, but keep in mind EA is the one publishing this, so the developer has some control, but EA also has some control because they help fund the game. So
Yeah, but
it's
here's the
not
bad
out of the
thing.
realm of possibilities that they will eventually offer you real money packs. So
The bad thing is they have to program it in, and if they outright refuse, they're not going against their contracts.
They don't really have much of a choice if they push it, so I don't think they can push too hard. I don't think they will, but I'm just saying it's not out of the realm. It's EA. They also said that Plants vs Zombies wasn't really going to have it in there, and that now does. So they never flat out said that, but they really were strongly hinting that it would never be a real money thing, and there it is. So just I don't know. That doesn't bother me even if they do. I'm not going to spend money on it, but if people want to, I don't care. It's burn cards, whatever.
I'm hoping that the this black market thing is to help people want to keep playing the game, like beyond level 50, whatever.
Right. Well, I mean, it added something new to the game that people haven't experienced before, so it gives you a little bit more reason to go back and at least try it beyond just the 3 new maps and any other features that they added with the expansion. So.
Yeah. It should be noted that this black market, I don't believe you have to buy the expansion to get this, if I'm correct. I believe you'll get
free to everybody.
There will be a compatibility pack / standard update, when that launches. And even if you don't buy the Expedition, or not the Expedition, what was it called? Frontier's Edge?
Frontier's Edge.
Yeah, even if you don't buy that, you'll still get the black market stuff. So, just make that clear. And what was the release date on the thing again?
July 31st.
Oh, just a couple days.
3 days.
Perfect.
Yep, so there's another thing to add to my list of playing while I wait.
Give us a reason to go back and play it. So we kind of go in waves. It seemed like a bunch of us went back and started playing that game again about 2 weeks ago and 3 weeks ago maybe. So maybe we'll all get into another Titanfall mode again.
Well.
Alright, Average, you can go with the next one too, because I think you're the one who posted this one or wanted to talk about it. So the Crytek thing. Or no, it wasn't Average, it was MW, sorry.
MW, yeah.
Sorry. Go for it, MW.
That's alright. So Crytek basically had a little press release for their financial problems that they've been having. So it wasn't as bad as people said, but it was still a lot of their people had money issues. Basically, the Crytek said in the note they acknowledged that it's been in a transition phase, that was in quotations, their wording, as it moves from being a developer to an online publisher, one that will require significantly more capital. However, the company also said that it's since secured this capital and is now well prepared for the long term. Although it added, we won't be communicating further about our developments in progress. In other words, quit speculating about stuff you don't understand. And shut up about it already.
Yeah.
So
that's that. We got the resolution or short answer of what we were wondering about. So it sounds like they're okay for now, which is good if you're looking forward to Homefront. I don't know if they're really truly out of the woods, because according to a lot of sources, and I would have to believe that a lot of this is true because I don't think you find that many wrong sources and people that work there and stuff like that, but when people are just walking out because they're not getting paid, it's not usually a good situation. So hopefully they get that figured out or have it figured out, and development can move forward with some of these games that they have going. I know they have a free-to-play arena game of some sort. I can't remember what it's called right now. And then they have Homefront and a couple other games too that aren't as big. But and hopefully sometime down the road, Rise 2. So someday maybe we can hope. Any other thing you want to bring up on that one? Anyone?
No.
All right. So go ahead.
Well, I would say I am glad they're not shutting down. Or I'd like to figure out who did their financial backing. But other than that, it's nice that they're not going to be closing down in this very, very hard to stay alive era, apparently.
Yep. I think if anything would have happened, Crytek would have downsized. They inflated their numbers significantly over the last 2 years. Maybe too fast. I know they bought a studio here, bought a studio there. They have a bunch of the guys from that studio that closed down that made Darksiders. They just open up a studio that basically has that development team. I mean, they've opened up a couple studios. I think they have like 5 separate studios, and they have multiple hundreds of people working across their company. I mean, they're like, I think I read like 700 to 800 people. That's pretty damn big for a company that really doesn't release that many games in a year. So hopefully they didn't bite off more than they could chew as far as workforce. So hopefully they get that's all squared away. So, but good to hear that none of their studios are officially closing or anything, like you said. All right, next topic. This will be a fun one for Average and Landshark specifically. And we brought it up a ways back when it was a rumor. Now, supposedly, it's confirmed some sort, or more confirmed, I should say. Google is buying Twitch for $1 billion. What does that mean for Twitch? We hope not worst case scenario. Hopefully it's not what it means or meant for YouTube is what we're hoping, I think, is that they don't do the same thing to Twitch as what they did to YouTube.
Worst case scenario, burn it, set it on fire, and piss on the ashes.
Well, I will say, I know Average and Landshark are going to have a lot to say on this one, but my one thing is that the good news this time is that we have some legitimate options. If Twitch goes down the shitter because Google just keeps putting in their stuff and ruins it, basically, there's Ustream. There's like 2 or 3 other options that gamers can migrate to. Whereas with YouTube, there really isn't a straight-up competitor to YouTube right now. There just isn't.
Oh.
So if you want to share videos in a really easy way with the biggest amount of people, YouTube is the only way to do it. So, but you have, I think, Ustream. What are the other ones? There's at least 1 or 2 other ones.
Hitbox is another one.
Yep.
It's new and kind of up and coming, and it's a lot of people even now before this because of some of the issues that Twitch was having that are switching over to Hitbox. My issue is Twitch was doing fine. Google saw that they were doing fine. Saw that MLG, Major League Gaming, was about to sign up with them. See all of the traffic that they're getting from all of the DOTA games. And they said, you know what, we can't beat you, so we're going to buy you. And they will probably never do anything with the technology that doesn't enhance their ad sales.
Mm-hmm.
They won't put the money into making Twitch much better, which they could do easily. They could make Twitch much better for much less than what they bought Twitch for. But they won't do it because they weren't out to buy Twitch to make it better. They were out to buy Twitch to get rid of a competitor that was doing something better than them. Instead of innovating, they bought them. So we'll see. I mean, right now it's integrated into the Xbox One, so it makes it a lot easier to stream some stuff, but I will gladly go and build a PC, get a capture card, and switch to Hitbox if it goes the way of YouTube. Because YouTube started off wonderful, and now it's MySpace.
Or worse. I don't remember MySpace giving me 4-minute unskippable ads when I clicked on it, but you know. The disgusting part is that they had a streaming, like there for a little while you could stream on YouTube.
Yeah.
It was a fucking failure because people didn't want to stream on YouTube. That's not what it was for. So they ended up just buying the largest streaming site. And you won't watch us, you're going to watch us anyway.
They didn't put any effort into that streaming service in YouTube. Let's be realistic. They took the same YouTube codec and said, hey, use your bandwidth to stream on it. We're not going to give you an interface or make it easy for you. You just get to say that you're streaming on YouTube. That's, no.
Yeah. It was absolutely terrible. I watched a couple of them, and if it worked, it was terrible looking, and when it didn't work, it crashed, which was every time. Shit.
Yeah, it's time. It's going to be one of those time will tell things. You know, as of right, and it's not going to change Twitch in the very short term. It'll be very curious to see what happens, say, a year from now, where it's at. You know, is Twitch as big as it was? Is it bigger? did it drastically reduce in number of members because people just got fed up with the rules and BS? I mean, you gotta wonder. It's a great thing and a terrible thing if you're a direct competitor with Twitch. Because Twitch overshadowed them. And let's face it, I didn't even know what the other ones were. I knew they existed, but I couldn't think of the names of them. But now that Twitch is owned by Google, you gotta believe they're excited and also worried at the same time, because, like you said, Google could invest in them. They don't have a history of doing that, but they could and make it better, or they could YouTube it and turn it into a pile of shit, and then watch all the new members come and basically enact all the rules, or not enact, I should say, the rules that YouTube's going, or Twitch is going to enact, and watch everyone come and join their site. So it'll be a very interesting, I would say, next 6 months for the streaming as it keeps getting bigger, to see where people go. So
Yep.
a lot of people don't think about the Google thing. Most people, the average person, doesn't care that YouTube is owned by Google and doesn't care that they change some things for the worse. People who are a little more tech savvy, and even people who don't do videos and streaming like me, knows that they changed it for the worse. I mean, shit, my account got banned for no reason for 4 days, and I've been a member on YouTube and had a Google account, that same Google account, for like 8 years with no problem. So, and I still haven't gotten an explanation on that, by the way. So.
Well, just the fact that in order to post a comment on YouTube, you have to sign up for a Google Plus account. You
That's
have
super annoying too.
to sign up for a Google Plus account. You know how many people don't comment because they won't do that shit?
Do you still
My
have
wife
to?
is one of them.
Because I closed my Google Plus account and I can still post.
It's still there. If you have YouTube, your Google Plus is still there somewhere.
You can
Because
close
you
it.
can't. Yeah, you can close it. You cannot delete it. Because you can't have YouTube without Google Plus now. It's bad. It's absolute, and that's my issue. Now it's going to be, in order to use Twitch, you have to connect Twitch and you have to send notifications to Google Plus that you're broadcasting, or you have to go through Google Plus to do. No, nothing good will come of this.
Yeah. I don't know if Google Plus is going to last. I've seen reports and stuff that they're basically going to abandon Google Plus because it's a giant failure. No one cares about it. No one wants to do it. And for all of Google's faults, they don't want to lose money. I mean, they're good at making money. So if it's not working and no one's using it, they're not going to keep investing money in it. They'll eventually just shut that portion down. So it had some good ideas. Google Hangouts was good for a few different things, but it just didn't pan out. So that partially because it just wasn't adopted. I mean, you're trying to do something that Facebook and Twitter and stuff does, but does it 10 times better than what you do it. So if you're going to jump into the market, you better do it a hell of a lot better than everyone else does it. So, or at least on par.
Well, I mean, the issue is Google made Google Plus so that they could connect it to everything else so that they can feed you more ads. There's no secret to that. That was the 100% reason that they did that. It was the easiest way, because as you're posting this and that and this and that and talking to your friends about this and that, they could go, ooh, send him this ad, send her that ad, send him this ad. That was what it was for. It wasn't to make people social. It wasn't what Facebook was about. It wasn't what MySpace was about. It was about how they could make more money off of people connecting with each other. That's the reason that it failed. Nobody cares about your ads. That's why people don't use your browser as much as they used to, because they're tired of your ads. So.
Yep. I started using Internet Explorer again recently. So, i.e. 11. So.
Yeah.
I switched back. I can't use Firefox anymore for some reason. I just don't like it. The interface, something about it. I still have it in case I need to use it for something, but Chrome's been really annoying me. And for whatever reason, Chrome is seriously one of the most prone applications or browsers I've ever used that gets the most ridiculous, shitty add-ons that I can't get rid of. It's a giant pain in the ass to get rid of add-ons and tack-ons, and for whatever reason, in the most recent update or most recent version, they removed the damn reset option. You can't fucking reset your Chrome back to defaults without basically doing a whole delete, and there's a bunch of stupid ways you can do it, but there used to be a reset button that would actually wipe everything and set it back to factory default. So if you had a really stupid, annoying add-on, or plug-in, you could get rid of it that way, but not anymore. So, but I don't know. For all the good things Google does, fiber, that kind of stuff, they do just as many dumb things. So, I don't know. Shark, do you have any thoughts on it? You've been kind of quiet.
I have a lot of hate for Google.
Shocking, knowing where you work. So.
Well, Google frustrates me now the way Microsoft used to frustrate me like several years ago with forcing you to do things certain ways and stuff. The Google Plus is a good example of that. Google search engine I no longer use because it just, I don't know, just gets annoying after a while.
Well, there's featured
Forces
ads.
you to like.
Your first,
Huh?
Your first 3 results are freaking sponsored, bullshit now in Google.
Yeah.
That's annoying.
Yep.
So I don't know. I've stopped using Chrome at home, which I used to be my primary. I use Internet Explorer 11 as well. I guess I am not happy about the Twitch purchase. We'll see how it goes. I'm not going to speculate too much because I really don't know. I'm assuming that they'll be more ad-driven because that's what, Google makes money through ads. And they make money through their connected services like the Google Plus and YouTube and whatnot.
Right.
So we'll see. I don't know.
We will see. That is correct. Any last thoughts on that before we move on to the last bit of news?
I expect a lot of people to leave, and I expect a whole lot of people to basically be forced out by stupid contracts.
I'll probably, I think like you said earlier, it's going to take like 6 months to really see what happens.
Oh yeah,
And if
yeah.
Hitbox or one of those, I want to see who starts making like deals with Major League Gaming and stuff like that, because that'll be the key to kind of the next big contender to Twitch. I think.
If you're someone high up in Hitbox or Ustream, I know Ustream has the PS4 plugin already. If you're Ustream, if you're not already doing it, you better be working on a Xbox One plugin.
Yeah.
And Microsoft will welcome it. That's the thing, because
Gotta
Microsoft
attach the
doesn't.
gamers to the service.
Microsoft does not like Google. I mean, they're not friends. They're competitors in the space, in tech. So now that Google's going to own Twitch, Microsoft's not going to kill Twitch and say you can't use it on there anymore. But they're going to open arms. We'll take you in. We'll help you develop it. We want something that's not owned by our competitor. We don't want them to make money off of our system. So
Oh, yeah.
I would be. I mean, I could be wrong, but I would imagine Microsoft will want another competitor on there and maybe even advertise a little more, push it so that people can at least know that there's other options other than, hey, come use Twitch and give ad revenue to our direct competitor. That's fantastic.
Yep.
So,
One thing to note is like when you go to view a game in the game store on Xbox, it gives you the Twitch streams currently going. It's
Right.
So I'm curious to see if that, like you're saying, if that'll keep going or if they'll start putting other
programs.
other program streams in there or something. Who
Hopefully.
knows?
I hope Microsoft reaches out with this news and says, hey guys, you're not already making one. Please do. We'll help you.
Yep.
So, I don't know. Or maybe Twitch won't be changed. Maybe we're all expecting the worst, and it won't be the worst. Maybe Google learned their lesson, and we'll find a way to still get money out of this purchase, but then still, kind of let Twitch do its thing and be Twitch. That's wishful thinking, maybe, but there's always that chance. It's not a foregone conclusion that it's going to be turned into a pile of crap in 6 months. We just have to kind of wait and see. So, but right now it's the easiest thing to use. I don't have the software or hardware. If it comes down to that and I want to stream, I'll go buy the stuff like Average said. I'm a tech guy, so I can do that. I have the extra money to spend on this kind of stuff. But for the people that don't, it does suck that they're kind of limited to one option, and that one option might be getting worse. So. But that's life. So if that's first world problems is what I like to call it. It really is. So I think that's it for that one. I want to make sure we leave enough time to talk about Destiny. We do have one last one. One last bit of news. This one's also big, and it's been discussed to death everywhere. And we were going to talk about it last week, but I left it out because Shark wasn't here. The MS layoffs and restructuring that happened, what, a week and a half now, 2 weeks ago? Is that about right?
Yep.
So I'll give what I know, which is the basics, and I'll let Shark kind of explain a little more, because I think he has a little more insight to it. About 18,000 people between now and what they say 6 months or so. Most of them should know by the end of the year. I think they were saying. I could be wrong on that number. 18,000 though are gonna be laid off across Microsoft's division, give or take. I don't know what the percentage is. 13-ish thousand are coming from Nokia. Correct me if I'm wrong on this, Shark.
I actually don't know the details. I'll let you.
Okay. I believe they said that most of them are coming from Nokia. So there'll be 13,000 from Nokia, give or take, and then roughly 5,000 are going to be elsewhere within Microsoft. It affects, for us gamers, it doesn't really affect us in the slightest. They've already come out and said that some marketing stuff in Teams will change a little bit, and I think you mentioned that in a post. But as far as we know, unless you found something else out, Shark, not really any layoffs in the gaming division, the studios, the publishers. The only thing that affected was the Xbox Entertainment division, which is the TV stuff.
Yep.
And my thought on that is it sucks because I was kind of curious to see what they were going to do with that. But the fact that it's been a studio for, what, 1.5 years now?
Yeah, well
and
over
they
a year.
haven't put shit out. And I know it takes time to develop these things, but not everything has to be high budget. And there could be some lower budget quick hitters that they could have put out, and they didn't put shit out. So I don't know what they're doing over there, but they were twiddling their damn thumbs because all we've got was the soccer thing and the Atari thing that's coming out soon. And
They were sucking up those fat paychecks.
I don't know. I mean, they weren't a huge studio. There was only like 200 people, but still. And they hired someone big in the industry. Nancy Tellem was big in the industry. She knows what she's doing supposedly, and that's done.
I think that the whole. So you said they're around for a year or two. I don't know much about the Xbox, the entertainment studio section, but my guess is the reason they haven't pumped out too much stuff is because of Ballmer leaving, Satya Nadella coming into the group, and then the whole Xbox E3 thing last year fiasco. Like all of that kind of, well, the E3 fiasco focused more on Xbox problem, like confusion within the corporation, but there's been a major restructure in Microsoft, which is still going on, and I wouldn't be surprised if that had a lot to do with slow.
Could be.
I guess you could say
But,
slowness of them.
I mean, Nadella took over not that long ago, and Phil Spencer took over not that long ago. So they had plenty of time when the old guys were still in charge to get something done. And as you've seen, I mean, the ones that are close to finish or halfway through, they're letting them finish those.
Yeah.
We're getting those. So that means that a lot of these ones that they had talked about, and we did get some news on some of them. They actually gave us some titles and brief descriptions of what they were doing. That means that those were barely in production, if not in production at all. Or they would have not. They would have at least let them finish a part of it, But yeah, I mean, the only ones we're getting are the Halo television series and Nightfall, and then the Atari thing or that series. So
I'm sure with the budget and the amount of people they had, you could have built 2 skyscrapers, tore it back down, and built
we have
another
no
one.
idea.
Come on.
Maybe the budget really was that small per month, and that's why it was taking so long. But as much emphasis as they put on them, my guess is at least until Matrick left, they gave them money to do what they needed to do, and nothing happened. And I know there's other stuff. I could be looking at it completely wrong, but the fact that the system's been out for 3/4 of a year. And we knew about it way in advance, and supposedly they were working on stuff because they had Nancy Tellem up on stage in the frickin' reveal, over a year ago. And this is what we have for it? A soccer TV series? Like, that's the only thing we've seen? That's pretty ridiculous. So, I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. They knew what their budget was. You don't suddenly get your funding cut. Like, you're given a warning or time before your budget's cut. Usually it's a yearly budget. Hey, this is how much your department's getting this year. Figure out how to divvy it out, spend it, and get your projects done. If you go over that budget, yeah, sure, you're going to have to start cutting, people or fund.
Yeah.
Sorry, my son randomly running into the room yelling, "Mommy." But they knew what their budget was. It wasn't like, oh, Dawn Matrix gone. Okay, our budget's cut in half. No, that doesn't happen. And you get a yearly budget for major projects like this. So whatever they were doing was either way above the amount of money they were getting in, or they literally sat there and collected a paycheck and did jack and all of nothing. Like,
We have no idea. I mean, we can speculate all we want, but we really have no idea.
well, the fact that they're completely gone, yeah, we have a pretty good idea. They weren't doing anything
We don't
with it.
know that, though. It could just be a completely redirection thing. You know, a whole new direction. Like, Phil Spencer is pushing games. It could be as simple as Phil Spencer took over and said, yeah, it worked with Nadella, recommended we close this down. It's not what we want to do with Xbox. It could be as simple as that. That literally could be it. Because according to...
I would be willing
Phil
to
has
lean
control.
more closer to that, but we never saw any of their projects worth a damn. Like, the Atari thing is...
Hello?
Sorry. Hit the mute. Alright, so I would be more closer to leaning towards that if they had released more projects for me to look at. But considering a year plus, and we barely have anything to look at, like the Atari thing, that's cool. I still want to see that. But that's it? No. You were sitting there twiddling.
Well, in...
Major, huge, multi-million-dollar project budgeted releases don't take more than a year to
Well,
produce.
we don't know how much they're doing. You're making a huge assumption in that they're multi-million-dollar projects. We have no idea how much
I'm
these
just
things
saying,
are costing.
even multi-million-dollar projects don't take that long with a 200-person staff.
Well, I do know that the Halo stuff didn't start filming until this year.
Okay.
And that was about halfway through the year when they started filming.
Is that the TV series or is that the Nightfall? Because they're two
I
different
need to
things.
double check. I don't know for sure, but I need to double check.
Nightfall, I know, just started because at E3 they said, hey, they're on site with Ridley Scott, or not Ridley Scott, but his production team, basically, and they're doing it. So I know that one did, but the TV series was the first thing they announced, and that was announced at launch or reveal over a year ago. So I'd hope that they're a little further in production than just starting filming, But we'll see. I don't know. Either way, I mean, that could have done a lot for Xbox if they had gotten some of these things out. The Halo TV series, if they had gotten something out. So
I honestly think that the layoff, that those people in that division that got closed, is a very small thing. And I actually also expect a new project to be developed regarding TV for Microsoft and Xbox, maybe late next year. It's just weird to me that they would hype up all that Xbox Prime TV, whatever you want to call it, thing, and then just axe it.
Well, it's easy to axe if there's nothing there. I mean, it's not like they put out 8 things that people liked and they're like, oh, just kidding, we're closing it. I mean, they put out one thing. So it's it's easy to kill a project if there's nothing there. So
I think it's I guess you call it a red herring. Nothing to worry about.
No, I'm not worried about it in an Xbox sense. In fact, it bothers me not in the slightest. I'm glad we still get the Halo things that they had talked about, because that would have been a bummer if we wouldn't have gotten those. But yeah, the rest of the stuff I can leave it. It's fine. It's what it is. We didn't see enough of anything else to be excited about it. All we got was some names and some brief descriptions, and some of them sounded cool, but that's it.
Yeah.
There was no overarching story that we found out that was amazing that we had to see. So. Whatever. I think they're just focusing on games for now, trying to, even the sales out and get back in the race, so to speak. Even though they're not really out of the race, but you know what I mean. Public perception-wise, they want to get back in the games thing, focus on gamers for a while, and then eventually, sort of like you said, maybe bring something back. Maybe it'll be more of a straight subscription-based thing like Netflix, that's kind of built in partially into Xbox Live, something like that. But also offered on the side, like Netflix, if you don't have Xbox Live or Gold or something. I don't know. I wouldn't mind it. Another competitor to Amazon Prime and Netflix, I'd be okay with that. So, does anyone else have any last thoughts? I focus more on that just because it was the only Xbox related thing. Everything else is more Microsoft related, and we don't have details of where exactly people were being laid off from. It was, 10 to 15% of their staff or something like that? 18%? They're roughly 100,000.
They have 125,000 people with the add-ons for all the people from Nextel. So,
So what,
Nokia.
Nokia. Yeah,
what's
sorry.
not being mentioned yet on the podcast is, so the 18,000 people is not a very big number considering Nokia is a big portion of it. Only 1,300 of those are coming from the Puget Sound region, which is where a majority of Microsoft's employees, we're talking like, I don't know exact numbers, but probably 75,000 or more of them are in this area. 50 to 75, somewhere around there. What hasn't been mentioned is the vendor status is going to be changing. They changed the rules on their relationship with vendors, which is what I do there as a vendor, where we have to take 6 months off after working for 18 months. That is going to cause a lot more turmoil than the 18,000 layoffs.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if you guys are aware of all that stuff or not.
Yeah, I think you
don't know.
mentioned it in something. I can't remember if it was a post or if it was something else.
So basically, 50 to 60,000 or more people at Microsoft are vendors right now. So I don't know what's going to happen there, because a lot of like the entire Xbox Operations Center is vendors. A lot of the service engineers there are vendors. All the PMs. There's a ton of people there that are all vendors, including my position. My entire team is vendors. All the service engineers are vendors. It's a kind of a lot of people. So I don't know. We'll see what happens there. There's a couple of things they can do. One, they can open up a lot more FTE positions to to hire on the people that have been there for a long time. I don't know what's going to actually happen.
Well, good luck with that.
Yeah, but I think that's probably the more like worrisome focus for Microsoft right now, which I've seen coined the phrase as a shadow layoff. They're not really laying anybody off. They're just changing the terms of the contracts from here on out. So we'll see what happens.
All right. Anything else on that?
No, here. I'm good.
All right. All right. So let's get into the topic we all want to talk about. At least I want to talk about it. So if you guys don't want to, I can talk about myself. That's fine. Destiny. Beta's over. We got to play it. Yeah. Let's go around the horn here quick. Give a short your quick thoughts on it before we talk about certain aspects of it. Don't make it 10 minutes long, please. Just a couple minutes max. Then we'll get into more discussion. I'll let's see. Average has been kind of quiet. Well, Average go first.
Average is gone.
Oh, I say Sun is having a fit. Oh yeah, okay. All right. Well, whatever. Shark, you can go first.
Oh, cool. Okay. So yeah, I played. I don't know how many hours I played. I got to like rank 4 or 5 out of the 8 total for the beta. Man, a piece of me wants to hate the game, or just be really critical of it, because it is.
Well,
like,
let's hear some of that critique then, because not a lot of us are going to say it.
Let me go first. I'll do my first impression. Boot the game up, start playing. I really like the way it looks. And not just like, I know someone else I forget who else said in the forums I didn't like the graphics as much, but I thought it looked beautiful, especially the backdrops and everything going on. It felt a little claustrophobic at first, but then you realize that actually there's a lot of space you can travel around in, kind of like Borderlands, I guess, in a way. So that was impressive to me. It really felt epic. Everything everything just kind of felt like an epic movie scene or something. The downside to that is that if everything is kind of feeling epic, then you kind of lose the epicness of it because it's all the same. You don't have like, how do you create an epic moment when the game is kind of looking like an epic game? It makes sense. Then I was a little concerned about the gunplay in the game. From the videos I've seen at E3 and stuff, it looked kind of lackluster, and the laser fire and stuff. It just didn't really stand out to me. But I thought that was pretty solid. After playing, I felt it was pretty solid. The controls, though, however, kind of bummed me out. The looking controls remind me of Halo, the right stick view, but the left stick actually bothered me. It feels like you're on a couch or something, like floaty, real floaty with the controls, more than I expected. And I don't know if I just haven't played Halo enough recently, or if maybe they're trying something new, or it's just a beta thing. I don't know. We'll see how that turns out. I didn't get a chance to play much multiplayer or any fire teams, actually. I mostly just played solo and did some of the missions. I really enjoyed the drop, kind of the, I don't even know what to call it, the multiplayer aspect of it, where people kind of appear in your area, and you can help them out, they can help you out, or
It's
just
kind of
let
like
them do their own thing.
A
async
little, yeah.
multiplayer a little bit.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
what do you call it?
Asynchronous, kind of.
Yeah,
In a way, it's
asynchronous
a type of asynchronous multiplayer where people can kind of
Yeah.
be in your server but not necessarily do what you're doing. Yep.
Yeah, I thought it worked out really well, and I was surprised to see it didn't interfere with my gameplay, but I thought it added quite a bit to it as well. So I like that. Pretty cool. Uh, as far as fire teams go, I'm super bummed there's only 3 players because, like, one of the nights you guys were playing together, I couldn't join you because there's already 3 people playing.
Yep.
I think that the multiplayer is 6 max though.
The
Or that,
yep,
like the PvP?
Six on
yeah, the
six.
competitive is 6, so you can have a 6-person
Yeah.
fire team in tower and in the orbit. But yeah,
So I
it
think it's
drops down.
weird.
You pick a mission or whatever that's less. So
Yeah. So I'm wondering if it's the whole game is designed around 3-person fire teams as far as the cooperative multiplayer goes,
yes.
or if it was just like a testing for beta or what.
So there is raids. Raids consist of multiple fire teams working together.
Yeah.
So there's not a ton of them. I think there's only 3 of them or something like that. Raids.
Only one confirmed through the data, but I think they said there was 3. Yeah.
So yeah, raids are going to be the bigger ones where it's actually a bigger team of multiple
Yeah.
fire teams that work together. So yeah, so there'll be a
Looking forward to
couple
that.
bigger things, but hopefully they'll add more of those because I think that's one of the biggest complaints coming from the community so far is 3 is not enough. So
Yeah. Well, considering my expectation from Bungie, you've seen that all their games have been 4-player split screen co-op for most part, like the most recent Halo games that they made. I was bummed that this was not even split screen 2-player, and then even online it's only 3-player. So it just seemed like a huge step back, and I don't know if it's a limit. I'm even wondering if it's a limitation because they're on the old gen. They have some kind of
I doubt it.
actual limit. You don't think so? I don't know.
I-
I don't know
yeah.
I don't know what their reasoning was for making that.
I think it was
3-player.
purely a decision because there's 3 classes. Therefore, they anticipate people doing, hey, one of every
Right.
class.
Yeah.
Well, even if you didn't make a 4th class, who cares? Then so what?
Yeah.
There's 2 Titans. There's 2 Warlocks, or there's 4 Warlocks. Who gives a shit? You know, let us play how we want to play, but give us 4 people for God's sake.
Well, as you've may or may not seen, there's some little bit of Borderlands type customization. Like your Titan might be a little bit different from somebody else's sub Titan. Not only just in the 2, possibly more than that subclasses, but also in the fact that inside of those subclasses, you have to pick. Once you earn more abilities, you'll have to pick from one of the different subclasses.
Yep.
So, why not? Your Titan isn't my Titan. My Titan's just better than yours.
I don't know.
See, I wouldn't be surprised if they add like a 4th class at some point, and a 4th part in the fire team. I don't know, later on.
Yeah.
One
Sure,
thing I
they've
do
got
wanna-
2 big expansions coming.
I do want to touch in because it is kind of like they're pushing for an MMO but not MMO feel to it, where the tower is like the central point and you go off and do your missions from there. A concern for me when I purchased the game is how much single player content is there in the game, because it feels like you're just doing store missions and moving on to the next section, and pretty soon you get to the end and be done. And what's my incentive to replay some of the old stuff?
It's a loot collection upgrade game. It's all about
Yeah.
finding the. I mean, at that point, it becomes a Borderlands game where it's all about finding the next best weapon or tweaking your characters just enough, having multiple setups for your character, that kind of stuff. They're focusing on end game content. It's not about the journey to get to 20. It's what you do once you hit 20. I think
Yeah,
they've said that
it's-
multiple times. And if you're more of I like the level up process and the story. I have a feeling you're going to be a little disappointed with Destiny. If you're one of those people who enjoys story but also likes to do the same, like we did the strike mission, MW and I alone as on a team 5 or 6 times. I probably did it 12 to 15 times, and it was still fun each time.
Right.
And
So that's
yeah,
sorry, I want to bring up that point too. So with Halo, I played Halo 1 all the way through the campaign probably 10 times, multiple difficulties. I went through it over and over, co-op with a buddy. Did the same thing with every Halo game in existence. I've beat it more than once, and that's because it was really focused on the single player, fun to play. I enjoyed every moment. I wanted to play it again for more challenges. But the difference with Destiny is that it's like a wolf in sheep's clothing kind of thing. has great single player content, but they're kind of like, but it's actually a multiplayer game. But we're only giving you a single player, storyline, but it's a multiplayer game. So I need to see more of like where they're introducing more of the multiplayer, uh, long-term gameplay. And the loot collection is one thing for sure, but then you think like Borderlands had the loot collection, but they also had like 50, 60 levels to go for. Halo didn't have any loot collection, but it didn't have any levels either. But it had the single player, it didn't have that multiplayer MMO feel to it either, which is because it wasn't that type of game.
Well,
So I don't know. I'm missing I'm not seeing it yet.
I really see this kind of game as the evolution of single player. We're going to see less and less of it. I mean, honestly, if you don't have friends, you're going to be very disappointed in games in the next couple years, because we're going to be seeing closer and more stuff like this. You're going to see Borderlands online, MMO based. It's going to kind of blur the lines between single player. There still will be single player around, but I don't think it's going to be more like this, more like Halo, where you have a whole bunch of people playing through the games, and you might even start running into them or seeing their ghosts or whatever.
Yeah. I'm not too worried. I don't know. I mean, I played alone quite a bit too, and I never had an issue. And I was replaying story missions and stuff like that. I didn't get bored. I rarely got bored with it. Like the last night when MW and I were playing, I got a little bored just because I knew it was the last night or was supposed to be, and we were like, well, how do we want to spend it? What do we want to do? We ended up just dicking around.
We went through that 20K of badassness.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
But
I made a video of that.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, your complaints are all valid, or worries, or whatever you want to call them, concerns. They're all valid. I don't want to take anything away from them. I don't have those concerns, but maybe it's because I'm more geared towards multiplayer gaming in general, so I'm not as worried.
Yeah.
I know you probably I think you're more of a single player or local co-op type person, whereas I'm more of a, if whatever the game has, as long as it's done well, I'm fine with it. Whether it's good single player, good multiplayer, good both, whatever it happens to be. I'm with MW. I like the way they blended it together on this one, and I think that's kind of the future of gaming. So, as long as they do it well, I think everyone will be happy.
Yeah, I should clarify. I agree with everything you just said. I actually, like, my time playing the game, I really enjoyed it, even though I was playing it as a single player game because the way it ended up. And you're right, I am more single player focused. I think a lot of that because my gameplay time is very limited. So I like games I can jump in, play, and pause and save, and that kind of thing. I really enjoyed the game. I enjoyed playing it. I think that when I do buy it, I may have to approach it as, if I get 20 hours of gameplay out of it, then it's worth buying. And then I'll just, if I enjoy more of the multiplayer stuff and happen to, experience it more, then it's a bonus for me, maybe.
If you enjoy the game, you'll get way more than 20 hours. I think I might have gotten close to 15 or 20 hours out of the beta.
Yeah.
Small little portion. Yeah. And I enjoyed every minute of it. So, I mean, there's going to be people who like the game. There's going to be people who don't like the game. They're all fine. It's subjective. Not everyone has to like every game. Not everyone liked Game of the Year last year, Last of Us. Doesn't mean that they're wrong. It just means they didn't like the game. That's all it means.
I'm probably in the minority. My final impression, I really liked it a lot. I actually thought it was worth playing again. I actually, when I logged into the game, I felt like I was having fun, which is kind of the point, I guess. Even the menus. We criticized the menus before with the weird cursor thing, but after playing it, I kind of like it. It's kind of smooth. It's a little different.
I accept it. I don't like it.
It's just different, It doesn't. It's a little slower, I guess, but it fits with the theme of the rest of the menus, I think. But part of me, I have a little bit of a skeptic. Something doesn't feel quite right with me about the multiplayer portion of it yet.
It feels unbalanced, is what it felt like to me. Whether it is or not, it feels unbalanced, and that's not a good thing in multiplayer. So, go ahead.
I was thinking, when I was watching Cardinal play the PlayStation 4 Alpha, that it wasn't what we really played. Like, what they played in the alpha was actually they were selecting from 3 different kit loadouts when they start. Kind of like, a little bit like Halo 4. You start and you pick 3 different loadouts, and that's what you had when you spawn in. Mm-hmm. And of course, all the damage and armor and all that. Like, you still have your armor, but it doesn't add anything to you. It's design at that point. It's Halo 4, the armor in there, and all the Halos actually. You know, the armor doesn't add anything. It's just an aesthetic. Um, so I don't know if that's because there's 6 to 8 multiplayer modes. So maybe we just didn't get to play something that was for you.
Yep.
There is, I think, a mode that a lot of us on the Xbox One and on DXB are going to enjoy more is the 3-on-3 fire teams. 3 versus 3, so you know who your teammates are. You know, as long as we have 3 people on, and you know you're going against enemies, and it won't be, you know, vehicle combat that Chanogram hated so much. It'll just be 3 guys on 3 guys in a smaller area, and it will be, you know, be more tightly focused around that. I think people will enjoy that a little bit more than maybe some of the random and vehicular stuff.
All right. So why don't you go, MW? Let's hear what you have to say. Obviously, well, I touched on a little bit, you know, kind of talking with Landshark about his thoughts. So what new thoughts do you have to add to it? I mean, your general impression of it.
I didn't really know what to expect going in because I've seen videos and I've watched, you know, Cardinal play and I was excited, but of course you don't really know how you're going to feel about a game until you get it in your hands and give it a try. So I got in, I played the game, you know, everything felt good. The real issue that a lot of people are having, like, I'm not calling him out or anything about his post, but Maney 1975 on
You're not calling him up,
Xbox.
but you're gonna name
No,
him.
Okay, but I'm not going to criticize him.
Okay.
He has his opinion, and he's okay to have that opinion. So I'm not bashing the guy, but he said the controls, and I think Landshark touched on it, that the controls were a little floaty, and I felt that way when I began playing. But then Halo kicked in, and I played thousands of hours, or thousands of matches, thousands of matches in Halo 3 and all the other Halo games. So then that kicked back in for me, and I was really good at it. And the floaty controls were gone. Maybe that's just their style of the way that they build games. So if you don't like that controls, the way that things are controlled, that might just because you never really were into the Halo games that they made. But their games have always felt kind of like that. It's floaty at first, but once your muscles and hand get used to it, you can do great things. You can turn around and punch a guy in the face that's meleeing you, and you don't even notice it. It becomes kind of like a second reaction. I did that a ton of times. You know, some little hive or whatever is clawing on my face. I just turn around and baff him, and he's gone. And it's just an everyday thing. So it really depends upon the person, their preferences for controls, and how you use that. Because I noticed I spent less time not shooting once I really got into it, and I spent more time hitting those targets and then moving on to the next. And what feels floaty to new players ends up being a very tight mechanic feel, and really, really nice to me at the end. I was really happy with the controls. Jumping mechanics were, sure, it's not Titanfall, but it's still pretty awesome. It's still pretty Halo-y. You've got a nice jump and then a good jetpack. You got to know how to lead your momentum into those games. Momentum plays a factor. Not a lot of other shooters have gotten that right. So, I don't know. But I had a lot of fun playing it. I had 3 level 8s. Most of the time I played my Titan. That'll be my first class when we get into the final game. And I'm going to destroy and defend things. That's going to be my job, and I'm going to enjoy every moment of it. One of the only criticisms that I had for the actual game that I played is, and Chano agrees with this, is there's no chat options.
Yeah, I'm gonna hit that pretty hard when I get into it too.
Oh, I know. You can't walk up to somebody and start talking.
I
Or,
was going to ask about that, yeah.
or on the other side, there's no chat box for town. Sure, not everybody has a keyboard that they can just go and plug into their Xbox One, and everyone understands that. But you can still put a chat option. They had stuff like that on the 360, where it was you just use the in-game little chat text thing. It
Well,
takes longer,
that and
but
Smart
it's there.
Glass. You can use Smart Glass to type.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Smart Glass is awesome. Sorry. I know the PlayStation 4 supports keyboards. The 360 does. I don't know about the PlayStation 3. It's just
Yeah,
a
it
lack
does.
of my information.
Yep,
But I know at least 3 out of the 4 do. So why is it not there? That seems like a slight oversight. And maybe you don't want to have full area chat. Maybe you don't want to be talking to a guy that's 100 feet away and you don't know who it is. Then make it a small 10-foot radius. You walk up to somebody, you wave, and if he waves back, and you can chat.
You're taking all my thunder, MW. You're taking away
Sorry,
my
man.
biggest complaint about the game.
Okay, let's move on to another complaint that might not even be a complaint. When they were originally talking, they were talking that we had less than 10% of the game we were playing. But just recently, Bungie confirmed that, no, maybe we got 25% of the game in that beta. Like, that really needs to be addressed a little bit harder than some of their responses, which were, oh, there's going to be 4 to 5 areas. You're going to have Earth, and you're only going to have Old Russia. You're not going to have anywhere else. Okay, but are there more sections to that map? It's not really a concern because I know Bungie will treat their fans well, and they will add enough content in there for all but the insanely diehard people that don't. All but for Carnal.
Yeah, I was
There you
going
go.
to say Carnal.
Sorry. So, yeah, I hope there's enough content in there to keep us entertained until I'm forced to play something else in the holiday. And then there'll still be more content when I go back. But the way it sounds, maybe not. We'll have to see when it comes out. So it's not really a concern. It's just a small worry on my personal part. So, but yeah, other than that, I had a lot of fun. I spent today editing together 3 videos out of all the footage. I put some commentary in there, which I almost never do. And I'm going to put that up on YouTube, maybe on our DXB YouTube site to go along with our other podcasts, just so we can have a little bit more varying content. And we'll see what happens.
All right.
I'm good.
So before I talk about my experience, I'm going to read something that Carnal Carnelson wanted me to, or one of us to read for him since he couldn't be here today, and he apparently really likes the game and wanted his opinion known. So I'm going to read this for you. I apologize if I butcher this. I haven't read aloud since I was maybe in 6th grade, or at least this
Read it
much.
in a nice high squeaky voice. It'll sound better.
Yeah. So yeah, this is Carnal's opinion, not mine. Although I do agree with him in some of these parts, but this is all Carnal's writing. I'm not changing anything. This is verbatim what he said. All right. Destiny is a badass spectacle of everything I love in gaming. It is a unique experience on a video game that has left me awestruck by its vision and attention to detail. No games come without their faults, but honestly, in my opinion, I cannot see a whole lot of them here. I greatly enjoyed my experience with the beta, and I look forward to the main game. Hell, I am almost certain that this may be my most anticipated game of all time. Almost certain that is, because I love games. Playing this game, whether it be the variety of weapons, the fun of combat, or the teamwork of friends, I can honestly say that I had a wonderful time. And from what I have experienced, Bungie has done an outstanding, that's capitalized, outstanding job with their new IP. Sorry I can't be there tonight, but I really wanted my opinion to be known since this podcast is essentially all about Destiny. September cannot come soon enough. My body, mind, and ghost are ready. Let's do this. Game on. That's Carnal. So, Carnal has a Destiny boner. So, that's Carnal's opinion.
He wants the D.
So
150. Wow.
poor Connor. He's not even here to defend himself this time. So, but yep, he was not surprisingly impressed with the game. Being in parties and playing with him, he seemed to like the game and enjoyed it. So, I think he might have played more than any of us, honestly. Maybe MW played about the same, but you guys played quite a bit.
Yeah.
So, so on to my experiences. Overall, I love the game. You know, I am really actually anticipating getting it. Like I'm excited for it. You know, I got to see a little bit of Cardinal play on the PS4. I played the PS4 beta early. I had the most fun on Xbox One, obviously, because I was able to play with my friends. I have no friends on PSN, really. So, had fun playing with people. You know, it's already been talked about. I'm not a fan of the three-person fire team thing. I think it's a joke. You know, I don't care how they justify it. It's not okay for the three-person fire teams. It's just not okay. They need to figure that out, and I hope that they got the feedback. And I honestly think that might be the biggest complaint that people had, was that, and mainly the party systems. You know, people like to stay in party systems. Oh, one other note, and I hope they fix this. The in-game chat in Destiny is fucking trash. And I'm swearing because it's that bad. It deserves to be sworn at. It's terrible. We had to use it on Sunday night, or was it Saturday night? Saturday night.
Yeah, Saturday.
Yeah, when the party system was down, but we could at least, or no, it wasn't that. It was
we
had too many people in the party. That's what it
Friday
was.
night we had too many people in the party.
Yeah, it was just getting
Saturday night the party system was down, so at the end of the night we ended up being able to talk, but it had to be in-game chat.
Yep.
Ugh.
Yeah, the in-game chat, while it works, is very scratchy. It's not clear. It's definitely not using a good codec, or whatever it's doing. It's not good. Other games do it just fine. You know, Call of Duty games handle in-game chat with more people just fine. This one, the in-game chat is pathetic, and it's only limited to your fire team, so it's only 3 people. It's not like it has to handle, 40 people at once. They need to improve that, because I don't ever want to use the game chat unless I absolutely have to because of that. It was that bad. Like, I think Kevin was like, did they put, like, voice modifiers on these? And Bio and I were like, nope, it's just that shitty. Like, it sounds tinny, it's crackly, it's just not good.
Yeah.
So, other thing, something I actually liked the controls. I'm going to differ with Landshark on this one a little bit, mainly because I played it enough where I got used to it. And I think that's where you'll eventually be okay with it, Landshark, is once you play it a little bit. I think it's you probably only played 2 to 3 hours if you only made it to level 5-ish.
Yeah, 4 or 5.
Yeah, you get to that pretty quick. That's about 3 or 4 story missions in. It's not enough time to get the hang of it if you haven't played Halo recently, and I haven't either. So it took me, and part of it too is I played on the PS4. So by the time the Xbox One rolled out, I was kind of used to the feel of it. Just had to get used to the controller again. But I got used to that. Not just get used to it, I actually enjoyed it. It felt like Halo again, how jumping around, the turning, just the kind of deliberate movement is the way I like to describe it. Once I got used to it, it didn't feel floaty anymore, but I can see why. And I think I even used that to describe it the very first time I played it, was it felt a little floaty. But yeah, it felt good after getting the hang of it. The shooting mechanics felt okay. They're definitely not perfect, but they are serviceable, and I don't think they're bad. So, as long as I keep tweaking things, and granted, it depends on the weapons you're using too.
Yeah, except for the shotgun. That sucks.
The shotgun is a piece of crap. I tried using it a couple times. I ended up using the fusion rifle because it's much better. Yes, there's a charge up, but it's much easier to actually get a kill with it. I felt like with the damn shotgun, you practically had to. It felt like you were shooting single bullets. You had to be so freaking accurate with it, and like right next to them. Like, there was no range in a shotgun. Like, I know shotguns aren't meant to have range, but it should still do some damage when I'm 10 feet away, but not in this game. Like, you had to literally shove it up their butt and pull the trigger to get a one-shot kill on it.
I would definitely say Bungie, and this is all of their games, have never actually shot a real shotgun at a target. Like,
it's very possible.
I understand in multiplayer, competitive, and what they built for all the Halos. Yes. that gun needs to be close range and close range only. It doesn't need to be a Call of Duty shotgun where I can shoot a guy across the map and kill him.
Slug.
I understand. But in PvE, it's now a useless pile of junk I will scrap every time I touch one.
Yep, I don't
Well,
know.
you have to be within melee range for it to be effective, but at that point,
You're better
melee
off
is
melee.
Yep. No, it is. I will say it is a one-shot kill if you're right up next to someone in PvP. But
Yes.
it's a pain in the ass to get the kill, and I've actually had much better luck taking my chances with charging up a fusion rifle at close range, because you don't have to be quite as, perfect on your aim. So I mean, I got killed plenty of times by people who were good with the shotgun, but I think it's gonna be one of those weapons, just like a sniper rifle, where if you have people that are really good at that type of game, they're gonna dominate, and it's annoying because the weapon itself really isn't that good. It's just a matter of it has to perfectly fit your game style, whereas other weapons you can at least use to a certain extent effectively.
Yeah, I didn't really have the problem. Now, I played a lot more multiplayer than most of all of you. I spent a half a day on it, at least, plus the random matches you, me, and some of the other guys got into, like just playing it alone, for the Iron Crucibles. And then, yeah, shotgun wasn't overpowered. Like, you didn't see a lot of guys using it. It was about balance between that, the sniper rifle, and the fusion. But it was balanced enough for the multiplayer. It's just I have a real problem with it in PvE.
Yep. Okay, let me get on my two. By the way, like if I had to rate this beta on just being a beta, I would give it like an 8 or a 9. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good beta, and it was pretty successful as far as getting people excited. Yes, people left wondering about some things, but I don't think anyone, or at least I shouldn't say anyone, I'm sure there's someone. I don't think many people left going in saying, oh, I'm really looking forward to this game, and then leaving, ugh. I don't think that happened. I think people who went in who already had a negative opinion of it probably left with the same negative opinion or a higher opinion. I don't think many people went in with a really high expectation and then left really disappointed. I don't think that happened very often.
yeah, I'm more of those guys. So don't mean to interrupt too long here, but the E3 last year and the E3 this year, I thought the demos they showed off of this game, especially last year, super boring. Like, that took a lot of criticism, and I had that mindset going into the beta, and I was impressed with the beta. So I felt I went in with skepticism, came out with the negative. So
Yeah, they did not hype this game up. Like, a lot of the hype didn't come from actually them. It came from, well, Halo fans, Sony fans that were excited to finally have a Bungie game, which I'm happy for them. I'm glad they finally get to play a studio that they haven't had for a long time.
Ever.
Yeah, fair enough. Ever. So I'm happy for the excitement. But honestly, I don't think a lot was built from their E3 conferences ever. Like, none of their E3 conferences made me go, nothing was revolutionary, it was just, here's Destiny.
Yep.
Yep, CGI trailer. Woohoo!
Yeah.
Hey!
So,
I don't care.
yeah. One thing to note too, kind of relating to what they've talked about, Destiny refuses to use MMO in relation to this game. So they don't want people to think this is an MMO because it's not an MMO in the true sense. It lacks.
It's MMO light.
Yep, and that's not a negative thing either. It's a first-person shooter, and historically speaking, first-person shooters that try to be real MMOs have failed miserably. It just doesn't work. There aren't many. I mean, some of them don't even make it to launch because it's so damn hard. Look at Huxley. That was a first-person shooter MMO. I don't even think it ever launched, did it? And if it did, it didn't launch to any fanfare. No one cared.
Look what happened to and now I can't think of the name. I'm sorry. I'll come back to it.
All right, what do you think about it? Let me know. But yeah, I mean, I think being a first-person shooter first and foremost, because that's what Bungie does. That's what they're good at. They don't want people thinking of it as an MMO. It's just not something they want, and I get why they don't want people thinking of it. But with that said, because it does have elements, it makes you wonder why certain features are lacking, and that's where I'm going to get into my complaints. So I have two huge gripes with this game. One MW touched on, and he was in a party with me when I was bitching about it and arguing with Carnal. on a couple
And
of these. Not really.
yeah.
We were discussing. We weren't really arguing.
Right.
It wasn't a
it
mean
was
discussion.
it
It
was
was just a
different.
discussion.
It was different sides of a coin.
Yep.
But yes.
So my one complaint that I have is the chat functionality in it. On top of the in-game chat being garbage, the you can't talk to anyone, other than what's in your fire team. I think that's stupid because their whole thing, and the part of the reason why you don't pick a server when you start the game, it just puts you in with random people, is because they want you to play and meet new people and play co-op with people you don't normally play with and basically be a social game. Well, how the hell can it be a social game, like MW said, if I can't go up to someone new and freaking talk to them without inviting them to my fire team? Maybe I just want to run around the explore map with this dude I just met, but not necessarily add him to my fire team because I'm not, friends with them or whatever. You know what I mean? Like I'm just kind of grouped around with them.
Yeah.
Or
And it's not that you can't do that. It's just that you can't communicate and find out whether you're annoying him by being next to you or making
exactly.
his experience a little bit better, knowing that there are people around that will help him.
Yeah, there might be people who say, hey, I'm trying to do this solo. Do you mind?
Yeah.
But it's I don't know. It's just they say one thing and do another in this regard. Like, hey, it's a social game. It's a social game. Yet I can't talk to anyone that's not in my fire team, and that's limited to 2 other people. That's just stupid. I should say 2 if I'm in a game, or 5 if I'm in a fire team in orbit or tower or multiplayer. But when I'm doing the story stuff, I can't talk to anyone else unless they're in my party or my party chat or my fire team. So again, like MW hinted, you don't have to say. I'm not saying you should talk to anyone who's in the map or anyone who's in the tower. There's ways you can do it with proximity. Maybe you have to be within a certain number of feet before someone can actually hear you talking. And there's a simple toggle where I can turn it on or off, where I want to hear and talk to people who are in my proximity, or I can turn it off and say only fire team right now. If I'm not in the mood to talk to people, I just want to play with my 2 friends and go. You can toggle that, and boom, you don't hear anyone. But there's things they could do to make it more social, and it just annoys me that they market it as, hey, social, social, social. Oh, but you can't talk to anyone. You don't have a keyboard support. It's a pain in the ass to actually talk to anyone. Therefore, I didn't make a single new friend in this game. Not a single freaking person.
And
in the beta,
if they keep this, I don't think you will.
Yep. And yeah, no one's going to make friends in this game. It's going to be their existing friends, and that's a big gripe I have with games in general. I love party chat, but it's also, I made a lot of good friends back in 360 days before the party chat became a thing, because I played the games and talked to people in the party lobbies, or in the game lobbies. I don't make any new friends there anymore. I make friends on the forums, which is fine, and friends of friends, but I don't...
But what about guys that are just coming in? It sucks for those poor guys. Because they're going to be alone unless they spam random people, and you have no idea if these people are nice. You haven't talked to them. It sucks.
Yep. It's an annoying... It's not just this game. It's a thing in general that I'm kind of... I like the party system, don't get me wrong. I like being in there and talking to people. But at the same time, it's kind of killed the whole social aspect of making new friends. It's kind of limited people to their groups. I think in some ways it makes things a little more hostile, too. Because, I've been in parties where... 3 of us are in a team and the other 3 people aren't very good, and we're really pissed off at them. We leave. We don't give them a chance. For all we know, they could be really cool people. Even though they're not very good at the game, but they're still really fun to play with. But we don't even give them a chance because we're in our own party. We don't hear what they say. We don't care. You guys aren't up to snuff. We're gone. So there's that weird aspect of it. But I don't know if I'll ever make a new friend in Destiny unless they change some of that.
Yeah.
It is what it is. So that's one gripe I have.
To it.
And I feel like there's ways they could fix that, and I hope they do something to fix that.
Yeah.
My other huge gripe... No, go ahead, if it's related to communication.
Yes. The other MMO that was a pretty bad failure, Tabula Rasa.
I knew you were going to say that. I looked it up, too.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Was that a first-person shooter?
Yeah.
That was first and third person, depending on what you wanted to play.
It was an NCSoft game.
NCSoft. It was made by Richard frickin' Garriott. It literally killed him out of the video gaming market. Like, it was an awesome game. I loved that game. And when it went free to play right before they killed it, I went back in the community. The ones that were left were just awesome. Everybody helped. Everybody was really nice. there was no reason for this game to die, except for people just didn't play it or something. It sucked.
It's a genre thing. First-person shooter people
Right.
typically aren't big MMO guys or girls. You know,
Right,
it's just
yeah.
not the two genres typically don't blend super well, and that's why I think it has to be kind of an MMO-like game like Destiny. And that's why I think Destiny will succeed, is because they take the best. It's a shooter. It really is a shooter first, but then it tacks in some RPG elements. It tacks in some stuff kind of like Borderlands does, but doesn't go quite as RPG-ish. You know, Borderlands is much higher levels. It can be kind of a grind fest to get leveling, whereas I think they wanted to remove the grinding nature of getting levels and focus. If you want to grind, you're doing it for weapons. You're not doing it to get the level 60. I think that's where they kind of wanted to differentiate themselves as far as being a shooter first. We'll see if it works. I mean, time will tell when the whole game comes out. But
What's also strange is their loot drop is non-existent almost. Like, you get your loot from completing missions, not from killing enemies.
no, you do get them from enemies. I found some pretty
But
good
not
stuff.
not like Borderlands, you know.
That's
where
not
it's
a bad
tons of
thing.
shit.
My
Yeah.
biggest
Yeah,
gripe
that's
with
not a bad thing.
it's
He's
good
right.
and bad. My biggest gripe with Borderlands is freaking inventory. I pick up so much goddamn stuff.
Inventory management simulator.
And most of that
Yay!
stuff is garbage. You know, you have to weed through so much stuff, and yes, you can set stuff as junk, but you have to manually go in and set it to junk, then sell it all at once. You know, this way, yes, you don't get as many drops, but you can also play the game and not have to spend, 10 minutes at the damn store every 20 minutes to go through your shit, when you know that nothing's really going to be beneficial to you.
I may have missed it just from gameplay's perspective, but when I killed someone and there was a loot drop, I didn't really notice it was on the ground in the first place. Like, I noticed the green glowy things, I think it's ammo, but I didn't really, if there was an item on the ground, I wouldn't even notice it.
It's got that like hexagon-ish orb kind of thing, but they need to do.
They were pretty bright, but only in the darker areas. Like, yes, you probably played a lot during the day, and maybe not have noticed, or it dropped behind something, or it rode down the hill, or
the green drops.
It's not perfect.
The green drops, the uncommon drops were much more obvious. The white drops of normal white weapons were not as obvious. What they should do is something, that other games do, where it puts a little kind of translucent line up in the air.
Yeah.
Where it's kind of like, and you can go all the way to the top of the map, where it just says, "Bam, there's something here. Come pick it up." No one else.
It made it feel like.
No,
go ahead.
I was saying no one else can see it because your drops are your drops. So when you see ammo, no one else can see that ammo. That's only your ammo. Your drops are your drops. So it's not like if you don't pick it up, someone's going to be annoyed that there's this giant line through the sky. No one else is going to see it but you. So you can go pick it up if you want or not pick it up. No one cares. But what were you going to say?
Yeah. Oh, just from my perspective, the experience was that they were almost trying to hide the loot on the ground. Like, it wasn't, like you're saying, if it's just me that sees my loot on the ground, why don't they make it flashy and stand out a little more? I honestly played the whole time I played. And actually, the first couple levels, I didn't even realize you got loot from killing guys. It wasn't until later on that I noticed I picked up something on accident.
Yep.
So.
All right. So my second complaint, and this is, I say it should be an MMO light, but this is kind of an MMO function. So I'm kind of a hypocrite here. They need to have a way to trade stuff. I don't know how they do it and make it fair. I know Carnal strongly disagreed with me on this, even more so than the communication side of it. Nothing makes me more irritated than games that don't give you an option to give stuff to friends. You guys can still hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure. I unplugged something by accident. I want to make sure you guys can still hear me. The fact that I find weapons that other people might like. I don't like sniping in the game. I'm just not a sniper. I found some really good snipers. I had like 3 green snipers when MW didn't have any on his character, and I couldn't give him one. And yes, I know there's a counter argument, and this is Carnal's counter argument, is he doesn't like the idea of him being having to grind to get something or wanting to, and then someone else just being handed something that they didn't try to get. I get that, but that's really only all that really means is that you like the idea that you did something that other people didn't do. It really doesn't hinder your game. It doesn't make your game worse. It doesn't, you know what I mean? It doesn't do that. It's just a personal accomplishment feeling that might be lost a little bit if you're that hardcore of a grinder like Carnal is. For most people who aren't that big of a grinder, and they do to a certain degree, but not hardcore and all day like Carnal might, and other people might, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I would love to give weapons that I don't want or need to friends, and they can use it when they get to the right level. maybe the legendaries are different. Maybe, like Carnal said, maybe they bind the legendaries. Or do it like, once you've used it, it's yours forever. Like some games do. I know, like Guild Wars, for instance, Guild Wars 2. If you get a legendary weapon and you use it once and you would assign it to your character, it's yours forever. There's not a way to unbind that weapon. You can only sell it or strip it down. You can't give it to anyone. Maybe
Yeah, I think a lot of games are like that. Yeah.
So maybe they do something like that with legendaries, but anything below that, there shouldn't be any reason why I can't give something to someone.
Just kind of throwing this out there, but I wonder if it's more of a gameplay or design aspect where they want your guardian to be representative of what you've accomplished in the game, and that's just it. Maybe, I don't know.
But it's random drops. You know what I mean? It's not like you go to a certain place. You know, maybe there will be in the end, but you know, for as far as we know, there's not one place that drops certain types of weapons or got. You know what I mean? It was completely random, and because of that, it's like there's not one place for me to grind to get a certain weapon. You know, it's completely random, and like I played with guys. I played like 6 or 7 strike missions with people, and 3 people that I played with got a weapon that I wanted. I didn't get it, and it pissed me off. And there's 2 people that would have given me that weapon if they could. There's no reason I shouldn't be able to give something or get something from a friend who wants to give it to me, or a random person who just doesn't need something and says, hey, in the chat or whatever, if there is a chat,
And that,
says, hey, I got this extra. Does anyone want it?
yeah, that would definitely also go to increasing the community.
Yep.
You know, you can't have a community without the ability to give somebody something. Sure, like Chano said, it would be nice to be able to talk to people, but you would have a lot more people conversing in that chat if you could talk more about items. Sure, there would always be people that sell those items for a higher price than they're worth. No one's got to buy them.
Yep.
I mean, you know.
Yep, and I know there's exploits and stuff like that can happen, but Borderlands is a good example because there was that duplicate exploit where you could duplicate weapons. It was really easy to do. It wasn't anything complicated. The difference
They
is
left it in.
yeah, but those are local saves. That's the difference. Your character is saved on Destiny's servers. When you trade, it's saved. When you quit out, you don't have that weapon anymore. You know what I mean? It's not like they can exploit the maybe there's a way to do it, but because it's hosted on their servers, they can easily fix those and find them when people are doing it, and people will catch wind because of YouTube and Twitter. Everyone, they'll know if someone finds an exploit to duplicate weapons.
Like that idiot that found the wall glitch. And
I don't want to get into that yet.
Video on it, and then said, "Oh, I hope they don't patch it." Oh, you're retarded.
Yeah. So it's.
You made a YouTube video telling people how to do it. What's wrong with you?
I don't know. Trading weapons, it's a minor gripe. It doesn't ruin the game for me. It's just one of those sort of. Again, you focus on community, you focus on this, yet there's absolutely no community market whatsoever. There's no auction house, there's nothing other than buying from NPCs, which resets every 2 hours, which is it's also stupid. It's like, that's really my only place to buy a weapon is from these people that reset every 2 hours and have limited shit. Like, that's not enough. There needs to be some other thing. And maybe it's something where you can list it on the market. You can set a price for your weapon. And it's in-game money, it's just credits that you can use. It's not real money or anything like that. And you can go up there, you can either trade it to your friend, or you can put it up for market for, I'll sell you this, and I'm going to set the price at 2,000 credits. Maybe no one will buy it. Maybe someone will, but either way, the price will dictate it, what happens in the market or whatever. And they could also do some cool economy stuff in there where, not go full MMO, but you can put a weapon up and say, it'll show you, like, hey, in the last 2 months, 3,000 of these weapons have gone up. Here's the average selling price, and it'll show you kind of the trend, so you kind of know where to set the thing. If you want it to sell right away, you can sell it, for
I hate to
less.
tell you, those 2 ideas are full economy MMO traits.
But it's only for weapons and armor. I'm not talking about materials and that kind of stuff. I'm talking about just that. I'm fine with your materials not being able to give them away. Maybe a way to buy them from NPCs at one point, because you have a ton of credits. Maybe you can buy a bunch of materials.
Or trade for another material. That'd be cool.
With an NPC, yes. I'm okay not trading building materials. I just talking about weapons and armor specifically. And maybe the class-specific, the stats. Yeah, those things.
Yeah.
But, it's... I don't know. Maybe they never will, and they're taking a stance on it for whatever reason, but there was already times in the short beta where I wanted to give something to someone or get something from someone, and it's not an option.
not possible.
And that doesn't seem right when they're, again, talking up social aspects of the game. Yet it feels more like a single-player game with just people in your game, than it does an actual true multiplayer experience, PvP and PvE. So
Yeah.
it's...
Nope. Borderlands have it. What's wrong with you people?
Yep, and no one complained about the Borderlands having it. It wasn't an issue. The only issue was the duplicating weapons thing.
Yeah.
But that was something they chose not to fix. Whatever. That was a glitch that people found, and it was easy, and maybe they did it on purpose. I don't know. But, no one was mad that someone could duplicate a really rare weapon that they farmed for, 3 hours and finally got or more. No one was upset about it. So I don't know if anyone would be upset about this either. And it actually made the game fun, and I actually met with people on forums saying, hey, I'm really looking to this gun. I have this one. Would you be willing to trade? I'll trade you this weapon for this weapon, or I have an extra one. I'll give you this if you give me this much money for it in the game. Something like that. But completely, it could also be they could make they could drive website hits if they had a sort of website-based thing on their forums, like a trading market on their forums, where you can talk to people and say, hey, I've got this for sale. PM me if you want to trade something, or I'm looking for this, so PM me if you want to trade these items. There's just nothing there for it, unless I don't know.
One of the free games that was on the tablet used to be it was card based, and you could literally trade people, whatever, and they pretty much said, hey, you want to trade with people you don't know, go to this part of our sub forum. And yeah, there were ads. Guarantee that's where a lot of their money came from. It wasn't ad, heavy or anything, but it was just another way to drive up, your ad revenue a little bit, and add, money into your company's bank, and at the same time give people something they wanted to do, the ability to trade.
Yep. So, I don't know. I mean, you can disagree with me. That's perfectly fine. I know Carnal does. I know other people will. It's not a must. I'm still going to buy the game, and I'm still really going to enjoy it. It's just I can anticipate being really pissed off in strike teams when I'm looking to get a certain type of weapon, and everyone else gets it, multiple playthroughs, except for me. And it just annoys me. So, and there's no way for them to trade a weapon with me, like I said. Like, I could have traded MW, a really good sniper, for a really good auto rifle.
Yeah.
But no option for it.
By the way, I never got his auto rifle too. I had the level 6 version of it. It was still awesome as hell.
Yep.
So.
But yeah, and then someone like Josh Bio, who played a lot less hours than I did, got the Sidonia, which is the other gun I was looking for, the other auto rifle. And just like, you got to be kidding me. And Cabin got it, the one I really wanted, the Schengen C level 8. It's just like, God, apparently everyone in my parties get the weapons I want except for me. So that's what it felt like. But other than those two gripes, I don't really have any other strong complaints on it. That's why I was saying it would be like an 8 or a 9, because overall I really enjoyed it. There's just a few things that, and if they weren't marketing it as a big social game and keep talking about the social side of it, it wouldn't bother me that they don't have those in there, those features. But it's kind of, I don't know, there's a phrase for it, I can't think of it offhand. Basically talking out of two sides of their mouth, like, oh yeah, it's a social game,
marketing.
But not really a social game.
It's marketing. I mean, they talk up a really good game, but the problem is there is not a single social aspect of that game. Literally, you can't. It's almost impossible to make friends. Yeah. I sat there and did a couple strikes in dead silence. Sure, a lot of the guys came and raised you and revived you. I made no friends. Like, I tried talking to them. I had my headset on, not in a party.
But they're in a party.
No. And I can't imagine it's different on the PlayStation 4.
Well, it's probably even worse than the PlayStation 4 because no one uses their mics on that system. It's just like the PS3. It's very rare people actually have a mic plugged in and are talking.
So there are zero social aspects to that game. Playing together is not a social aspect. That's a part of your game. Social is being able to interact and talking with.
You can dance
being
with someone.
Social. That's just creepy that I can't talk to them, but I can dance with them. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yep, you can go up right next to him and dance behind him, but you can't say hi.
Yeah,
so.
it's...
All right. Well, Average, are you back? Or are you still gone? Average is still gone. So we're not going to get Average's opinion on the matter. That's all right. We'll make sure he posts it on forum in the Destiny beta thread. I'll ask him to do that. Hopefully he has time to do that. One last question. I mean, is there any other topics about the Destiny beta that we want to bring up quick? I know the podcast is going a little long now, but it's Destiny. It deserves its time. Because we're not going to talk about it much again until, unless some significant news comes out from it. We're not going to talk about it again until launch week, So.
Launch week or after, yeah.
Yep.
I got nothing else stands out.
All right.
That's something one of our gripes get fixed. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of other gripes too, and like I said, it's all subjective. So, if Landshark has his complaints, MW has his, I have mine. Everyone who played the game probably has at least one gripe. And
I think, there are a lot of gripes on the internet. The stuff that we voiced is coming from a place of love. We want the game to be that much better, so we enjoy our time in it. Because those are our personal wants or needs or whatever. To have a 10 out of 10 kind of game. We already have an 8 or a 9, but we want a 10 out of 10. There are a lot of gripes on the internet that is just, it's hate. It's, because the Xbox One version is just as good, we're canceling our pre-order. Like, wow.
I
the
think
amount
that's
of
a pretty
hate,
small amount of people.
Sure, but there are those people out there. They're real, or they're really good trolls. One of the two, and there's a lot of them. But that's not a complaint that should be voiced or acknowledged. Please go away. Don't come here again. Like, ouch. The world can be kind of hateful. That's all I'm saying.
All right. I do have one question for Landshark. I want to make sure I get this in because unless we've already done it, if I've already asked you this question, I can't remember if you were here for this one. You can tell me you've already answered it. Did I ever ask you what your favorite Halo game was?
I don't remember.
I don't think I have. What is your favorite Halo game? And
So
why?
my immediate reaction is to Halo Reach. I haven't played Halo 4 yet, by the way, but I played the rest of them. I like Halo Reach a ton for a variety of reasons. For nostalgia's sake, I want to say Halo 1 just because I played the crap out of that game, like literally beat it a dozen times or so. But Halo Reach, I liked a lot too. Part of it was the customization improvements that I liked. I don't know what it is about it. I just really enjoyed it.
I liked Reach's armor over Halo Force. So yeah.
All right. Did I ever ask you what your favorite character was?
Explain that one.
Favorite game
in
character?
Halo?
No, just favorite. Game
just
character.
general.
Your
I think
favorite
I got
character
asked
in the
that.
story.
I think you asked me that a while back.
Okay.
I can't remember what my
Then
answer
we're
was, but
That's all right. If I've asked you, then we're good. I know though I did not ask. I got to ask Average about his favorite Halo game.
Yeah,
we got his favorite character.
Yep, I'm gonna have some interesting. Well, I'm gonna come up with some Halo-related questions for everyone in the podcast as we get closer here. A couple times a month, because I think that's of all the games coming out. I think even though it's the same games we've already played, content-wise, I think a lot of us are looking forward to it. So it's kind of one of those games where it's funny because there's tons of games coming out, but for some reason, Halo Master Chief Collection is still close to the top of the list of anticipated games for me, and it's all games I've played and beat many times. So it's funny how that works. But we'll see. Too many games competing for my time. So. All right. Anything else you guys want to talk about before we go? Anything relating to what we talked about, or anything else?
no, I'm good.
All right. Then, sorry, Average had to leave. He had a family thing going on with his kid, so nothing serious. Don't worry. But he had to drop out, so sure he posts his Destiny thoughts. I'll order him, or ask him nicely, one of the two, to post them, and you can read Average's thoughts. I'm sure he has some good things to say. So, otherwise, join us next week for number 14. I'm not sure what we'll talk about because it's going to be a quiet week. I might have some Last of Us thoughts, but then again, I didn't play it on PS3, so I don't know if I can really offer anything comparison-wise. But I can at least
you might
talk
not
about
be
the
able
game.
to do comparisons, but you can give your initial thoughts like it's a brand new game that never came out for you, because it is.
Yeah, I can
So-
compare it to other PS4 games, because supposedly it's supposed to be very pretty, so I can compare it to Killzone and Infamous at least. So,
There you go.
but yeah, I think I'm gonna buy that one tomorrow. I have to decide if it's worth the money, but I think I might because I just don't have a lot to play right now. Yeah, so yeah, join us next week, and thanks for listening to this one. Have a great week.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.